Hello and welcome to Funded Futures. My name is Emily. I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Ben Circosta, who is the CEO and founder of Bippi, which is a Melbourne-based cult food brand. Welcome to the podcast.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Emily.
So let's take it back to where it all began. Tell me about your first batch. How did you know you were onto a winner?
Well, funnily enough, I'd had the product before I'd even made the first batch. Obviously, our brand, or the backstory of our brand, is that it was food and products that my Nonna created, and our chilli, which was the first product that we created, was her recipe, and she made it years ago. So I knew roughly in my memory what it was and how to use it and what it looked like and some taste features. But then she hadn't made it for years, probably 15 years or so before.
Yeah, right.
When we lived in Mildura, which was up in the country, rural Victoria.
Oh, I know Mildura well.
Yeah, so we had a farm up there. We'd sold the farm, but my grandparents migrated there from the 50s, and you'd sort of typical quintessential Italian immigrants, veggie garden, everything sort of homegrown and that lifestyle. So that was our upbringing. So it wasn't just the chili. There was so many other, whether it was pasta sauce or pickled condiments, that olives, everything like that Nonna would be making in the garage.
This is like my dream. This is what I wish I grew up like, and sadly I've just got no culture whatsoever. You're so lucky.
I know, I'm very, very grateful that I had that, because that's obviously where my passion is, in that sort of food. So it wasn't a quest in terms of the first batch. It wasn't so much like we're trying to find something new. It was just trying to recreate something that was already there, but also with something in mind of like, how can we scale this to actually be a business? It didn't really start like that from the first couple of batches. It was more just like during COVID. It was right at the start of COVID in 2020.
Good times.
Had lots of free time. Oh, let's make some chili. Let's give some to some people, and just because you make a big batch when you do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone loved it. And then we did some competitor analysis against other brands, what's out there, what's in the market, and there wasn't much. There was some imported things that were okay, but from a quality point of view, we were so far above them. So we knew that, okay, maybe there is something here. We sort of got in just when the chili craze sort of started.
Yeah.
Now there's so many different chili oils and chili crisps and everything out there, which is awesome. I think actually we had a market on the weekend, and we had this conversation with the staff that we feel like people in Melbourne's chili tolerance has actually increased.
I reckon mine has.
So I think more people are eating a lot more chili, which is great.
Great for you,
great for
obviously.
us. But it's it's addictive, I guess, and that's part of it. It's like once you start having chili in your meals, you sometimes always gravitate to it. So we very much leaned into that at the start of our brand, and obviously having getting that quality right was so important for us. It was like we didn't even look at how much it was costing or anything like that. It was like, we just need this to taste as good as it can taste, and hitting those quality marks, being literally like what Nonna's was like, because we knew if we could bring that to market from a taste point of view, that's probably what's going to bring customers back.
Yeah, 100%. So it started with just the chili, and then you started expanding the range, obviously, and it's probably become an organic progression for the brand. How did you start expanding out, and were there any batches you made that you were thinking this is not going to work in the market, but it has?
Yeah, so it's quite funny. When we started, the intention was just to do the chili initially, kind of to see how it would go. You don't know where these things are going to go. It started as a side hustle for me, so it was just a bit of fun and, let's have a stab in the dark and see if there's a market for this. And then what we found was that they were very much resonating with the product and its qualities, but it was we were really pushing the brand and the feeling around the brand, and having something that come from Nonna's kitchen and that authenticity around it.
Yeah.
Obviously being Italian Australians, there's a lot here in Melbourne, there's a lot here around Australia, but also there has been always, but it's growing, the trend towards non-Italians wanting to experience quality Italian
Guilty.
food. Yeah.
Guilty.
Not many people don't like Italian food, and which is exciting for us. So trying to educate and, show more people that sometimes what you think is Italian food from the supermarket isn't quite the authentic Italian food that we would get. Hence why a lot of the stuff that we make it ourselves at home because you can't buy it.
Yeah, right.
There's imported stuff that is quite good in some patches, but even so, sometimes that can be hit and miss. Depends on, a lot of people bringing them in might be just more focused on price per se than the quality. So the market's changing, and it was time for our brand to sort of, after a couple of years, once we knew we'd sort of settled in as a brand that people were resonating with, it was like maybe our lens is a little bit more down that path and just becoming an authentic, high quality Italian brand, whether it's condiments, sauces, wherever else we may go in the future.
Yeah.
It was sort of pulling away from just being a chili brand and being an Italian brand. So it was a bit of a shift in the mindset. It was also probably a bit more exciting from a new product point of view because it was, we don't have to just do chili related products. Even though our name Bippi is a slang word for chili, it sort of tends towards that with a lot of the things we do. And the chili is still very much our strong suit.
For sure.
We deal with that. That's our best selling products, and it's we manufacture everything in house. So we go through all the fresh chili. We're processing 2 tons of fresh chili a week.
Jesus.
We're one of the biggest buyers outside of the supermarkets for fresh chilies and it doesn't matter what sort of level. They don't have to be supermarket quality. They can be ones that supermarkets don't accept as well, which is a really good sustainable benefit for our farmers and something we're quite proud about. So, yeah, we're very passionate with the chili and the fresh produce element of our business, but also like equally excited that we can bring out a pasta sauce and we can bring out a pesto and it still fits with our brand.
Absolutely.
Especially being, pasta sauce and pesto, like quintessential Nonna products that she would have. And naturally you probably tend to consume them more than you would consume a chili condiment or an olive tapenade that we have as well. So it's exciting to step into that realm a little bit more.
For sure.
And even some of the other products were just sort of came out of, making we get an inquiry, someone wanted us to test out for a hot sauce for a event or a collaboration.
Okay.
So we'll play around with that and see where that goes. And that ended up being our Italian sriracha sauce that we launched into the market. So that was exciting. That wouldn't have come if that collaboration didn't come. It was never part of the plan, but this product just tasted so good that we're like, oh, let's just give it a go.
Yeah.
That products in Woolworths and which is crazy that's come from that. So there's been a little bit of sort of that startup, let's just do this and do that. Whereas now we're a little bit more strategic with our direction and the products than we want to hero.
For sure. So you've managed to get into the big 2, Coles and Woolworths, and you're in 1,200 stores nationally. How did you actually go about getting into these stores, the placement? What was the process?
It happened quite organically but quite quickly as well at the start. So right at the start, it was very much, you approach them yourself. Whether it's going in store, online, it was always tricky battling the going in line, get a copy in the nose and trying to present the brand, especially for an Italian chili that like no one knows how to use it, what is it for, unless you're maybe the Italians, but even the Italians would always complain about the price because that's just what they do. And they're like, oh, we've got one here from Italy. It doesn't really sell that much. And you're trying to tell an old Italian how the brand is important, not the product. And it's, although the product is very important and our products are better, but it's, you're giving away samples and getting them to try it and then letting the sales prove it to them that once they get it in store, they can see that it works. And there was a lot of that early on. Then over time, we've been able to pick up distributors in different states, which has allowed us to really grow our reach from distribution point of view. And then with the supermarkets, we went through a program to help us get going with Woolworths called Seed Lab, which is sort of funded through Woolworths, and that sort of helps you get the basic understanding for supplying a supermarket as a small supplier, which was really beneficial for us to then sort of connect us with them, pitch the brand to them, and we got in there, which was nice, into it was a gourmet food category, or specialty foods they call it, but which sort of fit our brand quite nicely. And then from there, we've been able to move in aisle in Woolworths, and Coles have come along with the chilies as well. So it's been great to keep slowly growing in our distribution, and we're still doing that here. I feel like we've got a lot more opportunity, especially with new lines in, to get into some more stores around Australia, whether it's through independent supermarkets or even or our food service channel, which is supplying restaurants and cafes as well. We do a little bit of that. And you go to most Italian restaurants now, you ask for chili, they'll have something there. So it's
something.
Yes, so it's trying to make sure that it's ours as many times as possible.
100%.
Instead of restaurants having to have one of the chefs try and make a chili, or some of them literally just pour oil and slice up chili into a little.
I've seen it done.
A little bowl, which is okay, but from a customer point of view, like, we know that we've put the time and effort in to make the best possible chili that we can make straight from Nonna's kitchen. So it's like, there you go, you've got one that you can use, and but there's still many.
It's consistent.
Yes, that's right. Consistent, same. Same price. You don't have to go worry about the price of chilies at the market one week to another week, which can always fluctuate for them too. So it's definitely a exciting area that we're going into. We have a lot of restaurants using our chili honey now as well.
Oh yeah,
that we make on pizzas, cheese boards. It's quite interesting where that trend's going to. So it's fun to be involved in a few different categories and a few different sales channels. But that's sort of been the journey.
Yeah, I know. I go to La Mana quite a bit. I live in South Yarra, so there's the South Yarra one and the Cremorne one, and it's all in their sandwiches. The Bippi chili is an add-on, and everyone loves it. How many units are you guys going through, per week, per month at the moment?
So because we do different sizes with the chili buckets for the restaurants, whereas the jars are slightly different. But
are we talking? Let's talk in liters then. How many
in terms
liters
of kilos, we would be going through 1.5 to 2 tons worth of chili. So fresh chili. Once you add in everything else, it's probably 3 to 3.5 tons worth of product a week. So our hot Italian style chili, which is our most popular, we'll do a few thousand units of that in a week. So it's pretty popular, and it's growing. It's been growing since it started.
Wow,
which is good. But we go through a lot of chili.
Evidently. Yeah. I can only imagine what the factory is like, just the eye-watering and the coughing.
Yeah, no, it's actually not too bad. Sometimes we process the bird's eye chilies we have an extra hot in our chili, and we use the bird's eyes in that one, and that you can, when you're washing up, sometimes a spray of that gets you. But the chilies are it's a cayenne pepper, so you go to a supermarket and you buy a red chili. Generally, that's the one you'll see.
Yep.
When it's fresh, it's actually not too bad. It's when it's dried and it might blow, or you smell like the dried dust of it.
Yeah.
That's when it can cause respiratory problems. But when it's fresh, you don't get that at all. So we process the chilies, we cut the chilies, we de-stem the chilies, because we've got a team of people that process them all. And
wow.
Yeah, you don't have any issues with that. It's just the bird's eyes. Sometimes when when they've been blitzed up, you get a waft of that, and it's like, oh, that's hot.
It sounds terrifying, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah, no, that's right. But no, it's not too bad. But yeah, our factory's quite unique. We purpose built it for our products. So like our chili products, because we're trying to find a factory in a place that sort of suited us. It's not just a regular sort of kitchen that you need, just because of the machinery, washing the chilies and de-stemming the chilies, and going through that sort of process before we can actually, let alone just cook them and bottle them up into the jars.
The sterilisation process.
That's right.
All that.
Yeah. So there's we've slowly built that out over the years, and bought new machinery to help with efficiencies in there, which always improves the cost base. But which has been really helpful. But we're still very much at the, especially on the prep side of our business with the chilies. You know, we've got people there literally taking a stem off every single chili that goes into a jar, and that's just because there isn't really a machine that can do it. That's relatively affordable, unless you get something sort of custom built, which we hopefully eventually we can have. But it's also adds to the quality in the product too. Having our staff go through every single chili that goes into a jar. We're pretty strict with the quality as well. Like if most chili sauces that are mass produced, they're coming from the farm in bins and they're being tipped into vats and machines. So whether they're rotten with the stems, like I can tell you now, like say in Nando's peri peri hot sauce, whole chilies just in there, and it's just bulk manufacturer grade chilies that go in there.
Don't judge me. I do love a medium Nando sauce.
Yeah, so it tastes fine. It's just that the chilies that have gone in there have, they've killed everything in the heat treatment process. They've made sure that the product is okay. But
safe.
Safe. They've added their flavourings in there, but that's they're obviously working more on price and mass market. Whereas we're prioritising the quality and how we look at it. It's like if Nonna saw a rotten chili, it wouldn't be going into the batch.
100%.
So we discard it. Simple as that. Even to the colour, sometimes we'll get some half red, half green. The product's red. We'll just put those green ones aside, let them ripen up, and then when we come back through, we'll once they're red, we'll bring them in. So, but where it's, I guess, and what I love about it is that we still do accept chilies that most supermarkets or markets won't accept that the farmers will pick. So usually about half of the crop that the farms pick aren't up to supermarket standards. So they try sell them through the markets, which they can, the wholesale markets, but they'll sell them at a less price. They won't make anywhere near as much money on them. A lot of the times, especially if it's a good crop, they'll just discard them and they'll just mulch them back through the ground. A lot of the time they're picked off the plant, they go into the packing sheds and then they can't sell them, so they've got to get rid of them. And one of our farms in Perth, he called me saying he had to throw out 8 tons last year of chilies, and then I was like, oh, don't do that. We can take them as long as they're not rotten. It's fine for us. And he's been one of our biggest suppliers now, and we take all of his second grade chilies that he was discarding previously. This last year, it's worked out to be about 50 tonne from all of our farms that would have otherwise most likely have been discarded, or they wouldn't have made any money on. We've been able to find a home for them, I guess.
It's so good to hear that. I've worked with a few companies who've done capital raises with me, Farmers Pick, Good and Fugly, and they recycle and distribute so many like tons and tons of fruit and veg that would otherwise go to landfill. It's so disappointing that supermarkets are still rejecting this quality produce for aesthetic purposes when it could be reused.
Yeah, it's tricky because like the supermarkets are also they know the market too. Consumers prefer stuff that looks pretty, but over time consumers have been trained that if it looks pretty and bigger, that it's better.
Yeah.
But like I know, growing up on a farm in Mildura, you pick a mandarin from Nonna's fruit tree. The ones that were small and like compact were the best tasting ones ever, and the flavour that you got from them, the tomatoes as well. Tomatoes in weird shapes and sizes, and they were just so full of flavour, taste incredible. It was all preservative free. Yes, they might have added some stuff for some pests so that they could actually pick the fruit, but there wouldn't be anything to the level that's required at scale. And there's a lot of red tape and commercial factors in farming that don't allow it. But there's a perception that that if the fruit looks better or the vegetable looks better, it tastes better, but it's by far not the case.
Yeah, it's about trying to retrain people's brains. So you've got a background in marketing, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's very clear when you talk about the brand and how important that is. So how do you think that's influenced the way that you've started this business and its success overall?
I think it's very, very important. Like without the brand, it is, even no matter how good your product is, it is very difficult to grow scale and have a successful product business out of it. Fundamentally, the product's got to be really good. You need people coming back for it, no matter how pretty and how aesthetic how good the feeling is that it creates.
Yeah.
If the product doesn't taste nice, people aren't going to come back. So there's that side of it. That was the basic foundation of what the business needed to be. But when I created the brand, that's where our point of difference really was, especially up against some imported brands that were a little bit in regards to the chili, or a little bit behind the eight ball with that stuff, and they didn't have, or they're imported, right? So they don't have home bases here unless they're big brands that can afford to have a marketing team here or spend on PR teams to look after their marketing in another country.
Yeah.
We had the benefit of understanding what Italian Australians actually experience and want from an Italian brand. So leaning in towards that and having the authentic feel around a quality product, almost the feeling that you would get if you were to come to my Nonna's for lunch. That's the feeling that
I wish I could.
I
wish I could.
We'll have to work something out. But
we're driving up to Mildura next week.
Yeah, well, they've actually moved to Melbourne now, which is great because it's a lot closer. And they're well into their 90s now, so they need a bit more care around them. But that feeling that, you'd go to Nonna, and even growing up, you'd go to Nonna's on a Sunday for lunch, even just after school, you'd go through Nonna's and she'd be cutting up homemade salami, cheese, the schnitzels she cooked for lunch, olives, ricotta. And it's just like, this isn't normal. This is what, and for me, it was normal.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we, share this feeling with as many people as possible, and just, trying to do that through our brand, whether it's through these products or through experiences or however we can do it. That's what the essence of what we want to do is.
Yeah, I think that really shines through, and I think a lot of the time people forget that it's not just about the brand, it's about storytelling and the narrative behind the brand, and that's really clear when you look at Bippi and you can see the story, and you look at your social media and you've got family in there, and it's so beautiful in that essence. And I think that that's what people are buying into, and it's not necessarily just the product itself, which I think is a really, really clever business move. But the way you talk about the business is like you've been doing it for 20 years, even when you're talking about the machinery and the way you've set up the factory. Was that a big learning curve for you, or did it just come as second nature?
No, a massive learning curve. I think, and I say this looking back now, that having the naivety around the food industry beforehand was really good, because it's very tough, and there's so much involved. There's a lot of especially when you're manufacturing, there's a lot of cost involved in machinery. A lot of hoops you have to jump through. Out there in the market, it's hard. Always having conversations. Value to price to quality, and you're constantly in a battle. It feels like, but not knowing that at the start, and you're just fundamentally worrying about creating a really nice product and having a really nice connection to the product through the brand, gave us the sort of upper ledge on being able to then tackle all those challenges along the way. Knowing that if we can get through all that stuff, our brand's got longevity in it. I think learning that stuff and learning the food industry, like that stuff can be learned. Like there's enough people out there to, once you start networking, talking to people, going to shows, to find the answers to these things. It just takes time, but it was, and there's been so many challenges that you just did not foresee when we started the brand. But that's part of it. That's part of most businesses, but it's more specifically when it comes to food manufacturing and the FMCG game. It can be tricky.
What were some of the biggest hurdles you had to jump over to get to where you are now?
I think trying to increase the scale of production to meet the demand. Like, it's all well and good selling it into supermarkets and moving as much volume as you want to move, but if you can't maintain quality whilst scaling to getting to that scale, it's almost pointless. So, I speak to a lot of other brand owners in the industry, and that's their biggest challenge. If they've got a really good product and a great brand and it's ticking well, you've got to invest a lot into setting up either your own manufacturing or you go to a co-manufacturer or a co-packer to be able to make it for you, which comes with so many challenges as well.
Sure.
So definitely has a lot of complexities around that. I think if you can, triple your production and maintain the quality, that's a really big win, which we were able to do at that time. Now, since then, we're only at probably 40-50% of what we can produce at our current facility, because we've sort of found the way that our product can be scaled, which was lucky, but it took a lot of work to make sure that it was lucky that everything fell into place for us. But we, finding, you got to find the right machinery that can work for your product. You've got to make sure that your staff are trained for product standards, the whole process, and then you've got all the procedures in place. You've got to be food safe.
We don't want to be poisoning anyone.
No, that's right. So there's a lot of things around that you need to understand. And when and you look at, I don't know, sometimes you probably watch videos of bottling lines and all that stuff. If you have one little piece of that bottling line that breaks down, the whole thing breaks down. And even if one machine can process 100,000 caps at a time, if this machine can only process 100 at a time, that's as fast as how the whole thing will go. So it's just marrying all of that up.
Yeah.
Whilst having to spend a lot of money on actually getting this machinery. So it is definitely the trickiest part. And it feels like I've got two businesses. Like, it feels like I've got the sales and marketing side of the business.
Yep.
And I've got a manufacturing side of the business. And I'm very much like always sort of pulling towards one and to the other. And I've got great staff in both of those areas that help, because naturally as you grow, you can't do it all as much as you try to. Building teams around those areas that are like almost sort of isolated to one's production, one's sales and marketing. It's an interesting way to operate.
For sure. I think it's so tricky from a founder perspective to be able to delegate to other people, because you are so protective of what you've built, of the business as a whole and its trajectory going forward, is that you want to be able to control every element of it. How hard was it for you when expanding to actually release some control and to let people into the business?
I understood that to make the business successful, I couldn't be the one filling jars of chili by hand anymore. So I knew once we could afford to, bringing the right people in to help in those areas, and it was very much focused around production in the first few years. Like, I was, for the first 2 years, filling every jar by hand myself, and whilst doing everything else. You were very much involved in it. I'd have some help around, and then eventually hired someone to take over that so that I could step out of that and focus on the growth side of the business and the sales and marketing side of the business a little bit more. And then over time, we've been able to, as we've had enough money to reinvest in a new employee in the area, whether it's marketing, sales, operations in our facility. That's what I've sort of done. Just knowing that as the founder, my head needs to be what's happening in the future, 5 years time, what's the direction, what's the strategy, while still, helping where I can and leading where I can, and making sure that the staff are, adequately trained to do the job they need to do. Sometimes I'd probably fall back into the working on the business. Working in the business more than working on the business sometimes. But it is good though to do that, to, see what's changed, make sure that things are going well, and there's no issues in any of those factors. But I am a big fan of being able to delegate a role and free up something for me. Like at the moment we're looking at stuff outside of Australia. So like my mind's already sort of going there and trying to work on that whilst I've got staff managing what we can here at the moment.
Unreal.
So yeah.
Where are you targeting next?
We've just up and going in New Zealand, which is exciting, and pockets of Southeast Asia, your more high demographic areas, Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, which is exciting. And And then we've still got an eye to go even further into hopefully eventually into the UK and the US with the right partners at the right times. But there's a lot to play out still. But we're
still so early.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've got to and we very cognitive that jumping into those areas takes a big investment, especially UK US markets. There and you've got to try look at it as a complete start of a brand over there.
Totally.
For us, we can't just hand off a product and there you go. We need to make sure we're marketing it right and doing the right steps to make it successful, like what we've done here. And even in pockets of Asia, that's even trickier because it's a completely different market. There's no Italian. There's very little Italian immigrants there in those areas. We're lucky that Italian food is popular everywhere. Some areas it's obviously more popular than others, but there's still that lens that we can talk to, and it's a little bit harder to get them to resonate with nonnas coming over for nonnas at lunch when they don't even know what a nonna is. So
it's a little bit of a hurdle. That's fair. Oh, bless.
We'll work that out.
So you were talking about, obviously you need to put quite a bit of money into expanding into other demographics and other countries. When you were growing the brand and, having to invest in machinery, how did you fund those kinds of operations?
Yeah, so the business started with just my personal savings just to sort of get the ball rolling. And for the first 2-3 years, I barely sort of paid myself, and everything that was from profit from the business just got, put aside for when we needed it for these big key sort of milestones, buying machinery and stuff like that. Obviously, with the help from the debt and the banks to be able to do it as well, but making sure that we're sort of at a safe cash flow level whilst we're doing that. We just maintained it through bootstrapping our way there through profits, but obviously with the help of debt to pay them off as well. And so far we've been able to do that, especially with the physical assets in our factory, which has been great. When it comes to marketing spend, you can't really do that as much. So that's probably where you feel a little bit restricted. We do have a budget to sit towards based on whatever we forecast our revenue to be. So we tried our best to stick to that, and it's factored into our pricing. But when you enter in new markets, there's generally a lot more of that up front than before you get in the revenue in that area. So
right.
And it's the same sort of theory now. It's just save up so that when we launch in those areas, we can do it properly and we're not restricted. But so far we've been able to bootstrap it from the start, which is
amazing.
Something I'm proud of, and we're hoping to continue to do. But it comes with its restrictions as well.
For sure. Yeah. Have you had many people approach you about investing in the company?
Yes, every now and then.
Yeah, and your thoughts?
I'm always open to the conversations, and I think like the vision that I see for the business here in Australia is that my personal intentions aren't to sell. I want this to be handed down to the next generation. I want to create something that and I'm obviously quite tied to the business through my family and through my culture and heritage, and the story is interlinked, which is a good thing. But if I was to sell the business, we probably might not be able to connect it as well as what it is me being involved in it. But besides the fact of that, it's like I love it. I love Italian food. I enjoy it. We've been lucky enough to make it profitable, and hopefully continue it to be profitable, that we can I can personally maintain the full equity in the business as we grow. But at the same time, I'm I know that sometimes opportunities come up that we might need outside investment in. Depends on where and what at the time. So I'm always willing to listen and chat and understand what I guess their interests are, but I'm very much more on the side of strategic investment if it ever went down that path, more so than just capital funding or anything like that. But yeah, I never say never. But like I said, my goal is to hopefully grow
Hold
it as
on
much
to
as
it.
we can
Yeah.
without that.
It's interesting because I hear a lot of founders say, "Oh, every business founder's dream is to like have a successful exit," and I think, I can't imagine it. If I were to start a business, I can't imagine letting it go and seeing somebody else run it who wasn't me. Although you look at some founders who got really, really lucky, like Zoe Foster Blake with Go-To Skincare, for example, sold it and then bought it back for half the price she sold it for. Brilliant outcome. But yeah, when you're trying to run a business with the passion that you clearly have, it would be so difficult to see somebody else try to run it and imagine if it failed and you had to watch that from the sidelines. Horrible.
Yeah, no, exactly. I couldn't imagine that situation. Obviously, it comes down to, every founder's different on their strategy for when they start the business or once they establish that their business has, got a little bit of success to it, that selling is an option or selling even just equity in it is an option. So yeah, it was, it's, like I said, it's something that I'd always listen to, but right now our goal is to try and do it without having to let go of it. But I'm directly tied to the passion behind it, and if I didn't love it and didn't enjoy it, it'd probably be a different story and I'd be, looking for the exit strategy by a certain year or something like that.
For sure.
But I have so much fun in it, coming up with new products, just going into the factory and feeling like a plate of pasta and we're cooking sauce that day. So we'll get some fresh sauce and cook some pasta up. And it's just like things like that make, work not feel like work. And the connection with Nonna, being able to do that as well. And Nonna, but going and filming her to make content that she's got no idea about, doesn't know where it goes. And, that stuff, that's special. So,
Bet. You're so lucky. Yeah. I'm so honestly so jealous. That's like my dream. So at this point, how many products do you have in the range and how many are you looking at expanding to in, say, the next 12 months?
So right now there's 16 all up. We've
Huge.
We're in sort of 4 different product groupings, we call it. So we've got like our chili range, which is our Italian style chili, which is what we're known for, which includes our new, it's relatively new, but it's just launched into Coles, our bomba, Italian bomba, which is
I've had it. It's delicious.
Yeah, the good Calabrian style spread. So that one's one of my favorites. And then we've got our sort of sauces and drizzlers, we call them, like the honey, the oil, the sriracha and the ketchup. Our gourmet range, which is the tapenade and the salsa verde, and then our pasta sauces, which takes up 6 SKUs, so it's a lot in that base. So our pasta sauces and our pestos is 3 each of them. So that's why it's expanded literally from 10 to 16 in the space of one product launch, because we launched 6 SKUs at one time.
Wow.
But yeah, pasta sauce and pesto was something we were pretty keen to get into. There was an opportunity in that category, although it is quite competitive, but we felt like there was a real space for Bippi to be a part of it. Sending, like, again, same things we're talking about, that brand connection that not many people have with a pasta sauce brand. There's not many locally. There are some, and there's some good ones. But a lot of the stuff that you get from a quality point of view imported in isn't nice. It's watered down. It's not we call this a ready-to-go pasta sauce, and the other ready-to-go pasta sauces are nowhere near it. They don't have olive oil in it. So, that's...
I'm not about to whip out and grab some Dolmios, am I?
No, and we don't even look at them as competitors, right?
Yeah.
They're completely different product, completely different customer that they're sort of selling to. We sort of feel like our brand fits in that everyday premium sort of price point, and the quality needs to match that.
I was actually about to ask you that. So how did you come to the price point, knowing that you need to make it accessible but premium, and you need to be making a profit, but there's just so many things that you have to weigh up? Yeah,
it's tricky, and especially when you've got a lot of products, because some products you might make more margin off than others. So it's trying to balance it across the whole range. But essentially, the the price needs to work in the market, and pretty quickly you'll find out if a product's overpriced or underpriced. But I think when we established the brand, I really wanted to make it quite affordable, but understanding that, you know, if the process that's involved here, it's going to cost a little bit. So we need to make sure we're covering ourselves for this.
For sure.
It was tricky being like when we started, the chili jar was about $13. It's $12 now, but it's always been around that price. And a lot of the imported chilies were around $6 or $7. So it's almost half the price. But every time we do a taste test or a blind taste testing, like, it was so clear that our product was better.
Yeah.
And then when we actually look at the sales performance, our products are 4 or 5 times outperforming these other brands because they don't have a brand presence. So
yeah, right.
Trying to just capitalize on that allows us to have, you know, we can use 80% olive oil in our chili instead of these other brands that just use sunflower oil. That's why they're so cheap, because they're not using the quality ingredients.
Yeah.
You know, and when it comes to pasta sauce as well, like we put 10% olive oil in our pasta sauce, which is like very high for a shelf pasta sauce.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive, one, and two, like, you look at most pasta sauces, it's just tomatoes and there might be some other flavoring in it, but it's like we wanted it to be that you could open this jar, tip it in a pot, and it was exactly like how Nonna would do it. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with many Nonna's cookings, but olive oil they do not go shy on. So
I would drink it if I could.
Yeah, it's so good. And we use like a top quality olive oil in the market, Rich Glen Estate from Yarrawonga. So it's local, it's ultra premium, like from terms of like acidity levels for extra virgin, it's like as premium as it can get.
Love that.
And that's where our point of difference is. So it's like balancing all of those factors, but also making sure that it has opportunity to get on a shelf and sell. And it's a constant battle. Like, we're always arguing with the price with supermarkets because they want it cheaper. But it's trying to prove to them that at this price, you know, you guys can still make just as much money because of the quality and what's in our product and the branding around the product and the story around the product. Sometimes it just takes time to get that into their heads.
So how do you work with them in terms of the margin that they are getting on each product? Is it flat? Is there room for negotiation? How does that work?
Generally it's like a fixed rate that is negotiated at the start. And then there's promotions above that as well. You know, most of the time you try to share those the margin hits on those promotions too, so that you know, both of you take a little bit less to both benefit out of the volume from a promotion. So they definitely take a fair chunk, but that's the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I'm really your target audience. I'm so financially irresponsible. And I'm a sucker for good branding. And once I love something, I'm super, super loyal to it and I don't really stray from it. How did you go about finding your target addressable market in the first place and seeing who was going to go for your product versus an inferior product?
So a few avenues. Like, obviously one of the biggest ones is probably through social media. You know, ads, you get a lot of that analytics back on who's viewing your stuff, who's buying your stuff. So I really sort of lent into that data initially because you're never too sure. You have an idea who this sort of suits for, but you don't know until you really see it in the proof. The other thing was markets. We do a lot of consumer markets, probably do about 12 of them a year, where we'll go and spend a weekend at a market and just talk to customers and see who comes up to us, see how they resonate with it, and we'll get a vibe from the demographics. And we try to go to different markets so that the demographics coming to those markets are slightly different.
Yeah, right.
And you can just tell from the conversations with certain people, more so from an age and maybe a sort of nationality background, how they resonate with it. And it very much links up with what we see from an online data point of view from our target market. And like, you know, you would probably fit in our target market, absolutely. But so would so would my mum, and she's in her 60s, early 60s, Italian. The main thing that every one of our customers prioritizes is that they like quality food, and they're happy to sacrifice paying a couple of extra dollars for quality. So it doesn't matter if you're 22 or you're 62, that you can fall into that bracket. Doesn't matter what your nationality is, you can fall into that bracket. So we don't really pigeonhole it in any sort of demographic per se, but we're very much looking for that type of mindset where they're interested in food and they're interested in quality. They care that there's 10% olive oil in the pasta sauce. If I said that to someone and they're like, "Oh, it's all right if it's canola oil or sunflower oil, what's the difference?" Well, that's fine. That's your view. You're not our customer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm like a mutti tomatoes girl. I'm not going to get your home brand tomatoes. And I know that Bippi in Woolworths is in the specialty grocery area. And I think that it's interesting when you're trying to position your brand in front of consumers where it's going to be. And for you, that makes so much sense. So looking into the next 12 months, where do you see yourselves expanding and why are you going down that strategic path?
Yeah, so without going too far, we're really trying to knuckle down our distribution here in Australia a little bit more. We still think that there's most of our stores have got our chilli, but we've got 16 other products as well. So we're really trying to get more shelf presence and make our brand really stand out in stores a little bit more. More so with the independents, we don't have a lot of control over that. With the supermarkets, obviously, we try to when we have our range reviews with them.
Yep.
But that's a key focus for us we've got these new pasta sauces and pestos is to try and execute that in the independent market. There's a lot of opportunity for it and we've got the resources to do it. So that's where our main focus area is. Outside of that, it's the small sort of dabbling into exports that we're looking at.
Yep.
A couple of those will take place in the next 12 months. So they're probably the two key areas. We are looking at some exciting new products as well. I don't know if they'll be in the next 12 months though. We've probably settled on those
I really
two
want to
strategies.
hear.
I can't reveal them, sorry. It's very highly disclosed information.
Right,
but
tight-lipped, it's fine.
Yeah, but I'll give you a hint. We're looking outside of stuff that's in a jar, so it could be different.
Ooh.
Could be different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's so many things, and I'm pretty positive that what you might be coming into your head, it is not that. It is very new, and we'd have to educate, but it's exciting. Yeah.
Italy's my favorite country, and every time I go, I love getting all of the dried spices, and also I really love the I don't know if you've had them before. It's like the risotto packs, and it has the spices like
mixed through it.
Yeah, like I love that. This is what I'm kind of imagining.
It's a good idea, but no, that wasn't what it was. But yeah, no, there's so many things. And I was just in Italy earlier this year as well, and it's ridiculous where you can go, like how many things you can do. It's just finding something that is going to work, but also I'm passionate to push and see the opportunity with as well.
Sure.
But that's the beauty of Italian food, and I guess what is unique about our brand is that we are an Italian brand, but we can also, break the rules a little bit. And, we've got a sriracha sauce in our catalogue. That's not Italian. Technically an olive tapenade is in Italian as well. So it's like we're really not strict on our boundaries. Chili honey, like that's not Italian. It's like we just want to create nice things that taste good. We obviously put our Italian twist to it, and on all of those products we have put our Italian twist to it. But we're young, we're trying to keep it fun and entertaining, and if we've come up with a really nice tasting product and we think there is a market for it, then there's no reason why we can't bring it out, as long as it sort of has a connection to Italy in some kind of way.
Yeah, for sure. So how big is your team at the moment, and are you looking to expand the team and grow with the brand?
Yeah, there's a team of 10 at the moment, but most of them
Pretty
are
decent.
Yeah, no, it's pretty decent. We obviously manufacture our own products, so having that takes up a lot of the staff. I think there's 7, and then there'd be 3, not including myself. So yeah, there's more. Yeah, there's 4 of us outside of production, and then 7 in production.
Wow.
So yeah, that's sort of its own team that runs itself, which is great. And then the other 4 of us work pretty hard together to keep growing it. I'd love to grow the team further. We've only got one person in our sales team, one person in our marketing team on top of me helping them.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to grow that a little bit more and do more in that space. Yeah.
That costs money.
It does.
It's hard.
It does, yeah. But also, I think they're important investments in the business. Finding the right people. There's nothing better as the sort of, the CEO, the founder, when you've got good people under you that know what they're doing. They're in the right
Nothing
direction.
worse than when you have bad people.
Yeah, it makes it a bit hard, but yes, touch wood, it's okay.
Honestly, I hear from so many founders how they'll have just one person who kind of rots the entire team, and it's so hard to come back from. And there's a lot of mentality around making sure you hire the right people at the right time. I think that's really crucial to growing a business. But so far, have you had any crucial moments where you've found that something bad it's been perceived as bad but has helped you grow and learn?
I'm not really from a people point of view. I think there's been times where, and this is very unique to us with our chili situation, where as we've grown the market, like in terms of the fresh produce market, and we're needing more to fulfill orders, and because of seasonality, because of weather, sometimes there's no chilies available.
Right.
So that was a big learning curve over the first few years to make sure that, one, we have enough sort of stock on hand, but 2, we've got good agreements in place with our farms to make sure that we've got enough supply. Like there's more than enough land and there's more than enough farmers out there to do it. It's just finding the right ones and setting the right terms in place with each other to make sure we can do it. When we started, a lot of it we dealt with the wholesale market, which is very how it works. It's essentially supply and demand. If there's a lot of supply, the price will go quite low. If there's no supply, the price will go through the roof. And chili, because chili isn't a daily commodity like most seasonal produce is, it can fluctuate. For instance, It can 4 times in a week.
What?
Price can 4 times in a week. Yeah. So if you're leading, if your business is reliant on fresh chilies, 4 times in your cost isn't good. So we learned that pretty quickly within the first 12 months that was a big risk for the business. So making sure that we had nice agreements in place with farmers where we had a fixed price that worked for both of us, and a volume requirement as well. That's the best way forward, and that's what most big manufacturers do, and that's what I've learned. But when you're starting, you're not you don't need that much, and you don't want to overpromise and overcommit as well. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest learning curves I've had about the fruit and veg industry anyway.
Yeah, well, you've just taught me that. That's terrifying.
Yeah, well, generally that's why you'll see prices go up in, more so independent supermarkets. Your major supermarkets a little bit, but they're quite firm with their pricing with farmers. But in independent supermarkets, if the price of something's gone up, generally means there's low supply. If something's on special or there's something that's quite cheap, it's probably in season because there's a lot of supply of it. So
yeah, right.
That's usually how it goes.
So if anybody was looking to start their own business that they think this is a gap in the market, I'm really good at this, what advice would you give them?
I think it's important that you've got some sort of passion towards it, whether it's a business that you want to be in forever or just something that you're happy to create an exit strategy for. But I think for me personally, being passionate about it has helped me a lot. Like, you're working long hours, you're doing a lot of things that if you were employed and working for someone, you probably wouldn't enjoy doing, but you do them because you have to. I'm sort of blessed that I've had an upbringing like that, being, Italian farmers. My parents had a small business as well. So it's very much that, country, but also the Italian demographic sort of mentality that I grew up with, which sort of set that foundation in me. Now that I have my own business, that's like, I look back and I'm like, geez, that's exactly what my parents were like back then. And it's just what it's like. I guess it's instilled in me, but regardless, even if that wasn't instilled in me, I think just having a passion to it, like you don't care if you got to get up early because there's a delivery at 5:30 in the morning, or if you've got to pack up a market at 10 o'clock at night. Like, it sucks, but you got to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah, because you're working for yourself,
That's right.
and the harder you work, the more results you're going to get, obviously.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
Versus working for someone else, and they're just going to get richer.
Yes. It's obviously got its pros and cons as well, both of it. But I think if you were going to take that leap, which I think a lot of people do want to, it is important that you can once you get through that, nice rosy period at the start when it's a cool, fun idea.
Yeah.
Once you're 2, 3, 4 years in, when it starts to get serious and, cash flow's tight, you need to be really loving what you're doing.
I mean this in the nicest possible way. You make it sound so easy. Like, it's just so simple. Like, you're just like, oh, yeah, just started this brand. We thought this was yummy and everyone loved it and it just popped off.
Yeah, there's there's so many factors at play in it, and it's definitely not easy, and it takes a lot of strategy and thinking behind it. Like, it was 6 to 12 months worth of preparation just to get a product out to market.
Yeah.
Our first product has changed, like the look of it, the branding of it, it's changed so much over 5 years because you're learning more and you're understanding more, the market's changing. I think it's important that you're always just like listening to the market, and you're always being agile, and you're always sort of taking on feedback. I think that's so important in trying to grow the business as well. Like, you have your strategy, your vision, and you got to stick to it as much as you can. But if business isn't working or something's not going well, there's no reason why you can't change your strategy as well and your vision. So I think it's you just got to keep agile along the journey as well, and make sure you're having fun.
Yeah, and be prepared to pivot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Thank you so much for coming into the studio and for chatting with me. I've absolutely loved it. I love the brand. I think you're doing a tremendous job, and it's really exciting to hear where you're going next. And I'm sure everybody's taken a lot of inspiration from this. I mean, if I weren't so lazy, I might start my own business myself, but here we are. But thank you so much for your time today, and it's been great chatting to you.
No worries. Thanks for having me.